Hey cats, it's your midsole man, Eddbud here. Today I'm asking the question, what are the best super shoes for the masses? The max stack offerings that offer lots of cushion but with more substantial upper materials and perhaps more durability in the outsole rubber. Back in 2020, New Balance released a really interesting shoe. It's one I did review back then. The model was the Fuelcell TC. It was a carbon-plated trainer and racer with a little bit more weight, a little bit more bulk to the upper, but still with a very cushioned, propulsive midsole feel. It was a banger, a real jack of all trades, though at the time a little bit more unstable at slower paces. Today in 2024, we've got a whole raft of shoes that are kind of in that mold, really. I think the TC had the blueprint. Today we're comparing the New Balance Fuelcell SC Trainer version 3 up against the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. An even larger stack in the Asics Superblast 2, and last but by no means least, the Christmas shoe, the Hoka Cielo X1. Similar weights here, similar stack heights, super shoes for the masses. Let's investigate. Thanks for joining me on the channel once again. It's always appreciated. If you're yet to do so, please do hit that subscribe button. Also give the video a thumbs up like and drop us a comment to help fight the algorithm. Dankeschön. So I've got 4 shoes in my comparison today, all with very similar stats. On screen now are my measurements for the pairs that I have tested. I only include shoes that I've tested personally in my videos to give my experiences and feelings whilst using those models. Very close results here, the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 being the heaviest here, but only by a few grams. There's not an awful lot in it. It's also the lowest in stack, with 39mm in the heel for my pair at least. The Cielo X1 and the Superblast 2 being that bit taller, with around about 47 to 48mm of heel stack. Certainly those two are the more maximally cushioned offerings in my video today. The Puma is almost like a minimal stack. I say that with tongue firmly in cheek. All the shoes today feature a typical drop of between 6 to 8mm, and aside from the Puma, all have a wider 4-foot landing platform. Superblast 2 easily the widest in the heel, though not the softest in the midsole. That crown goes to the SC Trainer 3 and the Cielo X1, which are super soft with their midsole materials there. 3 of the shoes have carbon plates, 1 is plateless. So you're going to start off with what I think is the closest comparison in my video today between these two, the SC Trainer 3 and Cielo X1. So upper on the SC Trainer 3 from New Balance is much more conventional rather than the knit-like material that you've got here in the Hoka. I mean, they do look drastically different and they feel a little bit different on foot too. Quite a rocker in this shoe, certainly with that very beveled heel, and you really feel it in the forefoot too. Not quite so much in the SC Trainer 3, it does feel a little bit more natural, like it will sort of bend to your will. I believe both of these shoes use a PEBA-based midsole material. There's quite a different softness level between the two. It is very squashy and compressive here in the SC Trainer. There's a little bit more return from the Cielo X1. I really like this one at half and full marathon pace. I don't think it would be something that I'd use for like a 5 or 10k race. Just think it's a little bit too controlling there with the rocker. This one's a little bit less curved, just feels a little bit more natural and will let me run the way I want to. I think I can get more into the mid to 4-foot in the SC Trainer than I can in the Cielo X1. Really wants me to engage that heel here. In terms of outsole grip, we've actually got quite a lot of rubber here on the Cielo X1. I do wonder why they've gone with such a thick spreading. There's a little less of it here in the SC Trainer 3. Grip's good on both though. I don't think there's too much in it in terms of the outsole. Now, both of these are eye-wateringly expensive here in the UK. I didn't pay retail for either of these. I managed to get some discount on both. Does make it slightly easier to stomach, but that is becoming a thing that's more common, more durable, sort of super shoe feel, slightly more versatile shoes you can use for training and racing. And the manufacturers do seem to be putting a premium on those. Now, the light and fragile super shoes don't always work for everybody. I've seen some people put on a pair of Alphaflys and tear through them in one run. I don't think you're going to do that in either of these shoes, and I think that's the kind of intended purpose, really. They're just going to last a bit longer. The durability is there, and they've got more significant upper materials here as well over some of those very light super shoes. They kind of tick more boxes than just something that you put on race day or you're too afraid to run round the training estate in. I think the SC trainers are slightly more balanced of the two shoes. I mean that in terms of like weight distribution amongst the upper, midsole and outsole materials. The Hoka to me just seems a little bit sort of bottom heavy, I suppose. That thicker outsole rubber here, and the plate being this sort of winged affair. You can see a bit of it in the lateral side of the forefoot there, and it pokes through here around the arch area. Maybe that's what's making it feel a little bit more bottom heavy to me. I think the upper on the Hoka might actually be a bit better for you if you're running in some cooler temperatures. That knit upper, it's almost like a jumper. Certainly a bit more breathability here in the SC Trainer 3 and the toe box. I think the winged plate in the Hoka might not be for everybody's taste. It does make the shoe a little bit more stable. I think you probably noticed that on the latter parts of like a longer run, or maybe a marathon if you're running one of those in the future. Just for me, I think the SC Trainer's a bit more fun and engaging to run in on those shorter distances at faster paces. Perhaps that's the one to go for if you want versatility. If you want something that's going to be for longer, perhaps steady runs, then the Cielo X1 is the way to go. If I had to keep one though between the two, at the moment it would definitely be the SC Trainer 3. It's getting better and better with each run. On to the Superblast 2 comparisons now. So this is a clear 11 grams lighter than the SC Trainer 3, though I would suggest that if you want softness in your sort of super shoe or super training shoe, then you probably want to go for the SC Trainer. A lot of people pick this one up expecting some sort of like quicksand like squish, like a trampoline or something. It doesn't really feel like that. It's this sort of slightly more hollow, denser sort of squash. It's kind of there but not there. Does that make sense? I find it a lot more consistent though over the footbed, and I think that's why some people are really enjoying it for training runs. Just in hand at the moment, I can feel a difference between these two. It's not massive, but there is certainly a difference. It just feels that tiny bit lighter. I think that's the amazing thing about the Superblast model, that ASICS have managed to get this much cushion here underfoot and this much surface area, and I think that's why it appeals to people. You don't have this crazy amount of weight. I did notice Fod Runners recently reviewed the Brooks, is it the Ghost Max 2? He said it was the heaviest shoe he's ever reviewed. It was mad. It was almost like 400 grams or something. So when you look that you've got 300 grams in this, it's just amazing, really. The other thing to consider is that ASICS have improved the outsole on the Superblast 2 over the V1, and I have to say it does toast pretty much everything now. There's nowhere for grit and grime to get stuck in. The rubber's okay here on the SC Trainer 3, although I am getting a little bit of wear already in the forefoot area. Heel's looking pretty good, and there's that big energy arc to collect up your rocks. So in theory you're getting a lot more foam here underfoot, without any of these cutouts or anything, with slightly lighter weight as well. The other thing you got to consider, this is cheaper than the SC Trainer 3 over here in England. Why these shoes come with such a massive price premium, I don't know. New Balance, if you're listening, you know, they don't send me any stuff. I bought this myself with my own cash. Why is it so expensive? It's hurting your sales. That's why loads of these shoes are appearing in discounts down the line. That's why this shoe is so hard to get hold of. I think even at 200 quid at retail, it's still a really, really great deal. You're going to get loads of miles and use out of this. Though, I feel that the SC Trainers are a little bit more propulsive. I think if I was going to race, I'd actually choose this over the Superblast 2. Call me crazy, it just feels a little bit faster for me. It just seems to work a little better when I up the effort level. This is a great cruiser, a brilliant long run shoe, and a great recovery shoe too. But if I was going to race, I'd actually pick the SC Trainer 3. That aside, for all-round use, the Superblast 2 is certainly one of my shoes of the year so far. It's going to be tough to beat this one, especially when you consider that lots of the super training shoes are coming in much more expensive now than the Superblast 2. Both of these have improved out the box, so if you do pick them up, put some break-in miles in and you'll get more and more out of the shoe. The midsole material on the Superblast 2 is feeling a little bit softer now, and the SC Trainer 3 is kind of doing the same, really. It's just getting better and better. Fit, breathability and those types of things are very similar between the two. No pull tabs or anything here, which I kind of like, though I'm finding both pretty stable in fairness underfoot. Perhaps the Superblast 2 a touch more stable due to the consistency of the foam. So I think it's down to material somewhat here. I think if you do want something you want to actually race in, perhaps on some wide-ranging distances, then the SC Trainer 3 might be better. It's certainly softer as well, so if you want that kind of super shoe softness underfoot, then the New Balance shoe is the way to go. The Asics ones are a little bit more subtle. It's not going to be quite the exciting thrill ride that you might be looking for, but I kind of like that. It's just something I can put on and run the majority of my paces within training and get something out of it and not feel too beaten up at the end of the day. It's close. If I had to have one, I'm going to sit on the fence here actually and say I think they kind of occupy the same space. I think if I had to have one though, considering this one's that bit cheaper, I'd probably go with the Superblast 2. Okay, last comparison against the SC Trainer 3 today. The Puma Deviate Nitro 3. There's not a lot in it in terms of heel stack now. When you consider the SC Trainer V1 was way above 40mm, now they've brought it back to a more sort of standard super shoe height. I think Puma though are moving a little bit further away from this being a race shoe, and it's now more a trainer, perhaps a long run trainer. Slightly increased weight over the V2, which was a little bit disappointing, but I think at the price range it packs a real punch, especially when you compare it up against this. Carbon plates in both shoes, so they're implemented in a slightly different way. There's a dual layer of foam here, a very soft layer on the top and a slightly firmer layer underneath. There's not much in it though. Softness wise, I think the SC Trainer V3 does have that slightly more engaging sort of foam feel. You might want real squash, and that's what you'll get here. This one feels like it's tuned to perhaps run some sort of faster clips, maybe in a longer run, but it's not going to lack the stability that you might want towards the end of those longer distance efforts. Drop in the shoes is very similar despite what it actually says on the manufacturer's website. I find this one a little bit of a lower drop than is mentioned. I think they're around about the same, sort of like 7 or 8 mil. I think the Puma feels a little bit more conventional on foot, though it is certainly a narrower shoe than compared up against the SC Trainer 3. On foot, I found that both models perform well at faster paces. I think the Puma's probably a little better for me at those sort of slower efforts. I think though you'll gain a bit from the compressiveness in the SC Trainer if you're a stride runner. There's no real disadvantage from sort of increasing your stride length and perhaps landing a little bit further into the heel with this one. It's just so soft and compressive back there. I think the Puma almost fits a runner who's increasing their cadence a little bit more and relying a little bit more on that sort of rocker we've got built into the shoe. Does feel a little bit more rigid perhaps than the SC Trainer 3. When you've got a massive price difference like this between the two shoes though, you have to consider what's different between them. We've got very soft compressive foams, carbon plates, there's an upper, it's gusseted on both shoes. When you consider there's a massive cutout of the foam here as well compared to the Puma model, if you're on the fence then absolutely go for the Puma this time out. It's easily going to be enough cushion for most folks who are doing some distance training, ready for a race. If you're building up to like a marathon or something, this is a super tool to have in your collection. I do like the SC Trainer. It is improving with time, the more miles I'm getting into it, but I think for value the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 just beats it hands down really in pretty much every capacity, including the outsole. So if I had to have one, it would absolutely be the Puma right now. Okay, that's all my comparisons for today up against the SC Trainer 3. I think there's some really good stuff there from all of the models, but if you're on a budget and you're after value, then it's hard to sort of look past the Puma really, or the Superblast. Both of those offer a lot there in terms of midsole stack, comfort and cushion. Let me know your thoughts on all of these, and also comment whether you think this is now a bit of a category of shoes, super shoe for the masses, something that's a bit more stable and perhaps a little bit more durable, has some longevity to it. Comment below, people. Very quick musical interlude for you. I'm really enjoying a track from Travis Scott's recent album. Track's called Circus Maximus. Really like the percussion here. It's got this sort of rolling feel. It's a brilliant song for running. Almost feels like you're sort of gliding across a lake or something. Some really nice pads in there, very subtle sort of production, nice spacious feel to the sound. It's kind of like a 4D kind of effect. As you're running along you can really get into the zone on this one. I listened to it like 2 or 3 times in a row. It was really having this great effect on my running. It's really nice when you find a track that's like that, just feels like it's made to be used while running, and almost hypnotic effect. Circus Maximus, go and check it out, from Travis Scott. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already, and give this video a thumbs up. It helps to get it out to more people on the web. Also, drop us a comment to help fight the algorithm. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing